But we think the only weapon we have is the sword. And God says, wait a second, you also have arrows, and they're your children. And if you learn how to work with your children in the kingdom, you can actually hit the enemy from a great distance like a sniper would. You can take him out before he ever even saw you. You don't have to wait for him to come close and pull out your sword and fight him in hand-to-hand combat. You don't have to wait till he kicks down your door. You can shoot him before he even sees you. And so, but that's the importance of learning to work with our children.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Dad Awesome. My name is Jeff Zog, and today, episode 342. This is the next part of our Dad Awesome DA+3 Group Guide series. So this summer, we've spent about 2 months going through. These are short episodes to help you have conversations with other dads. The dad life is not lived alone, guys. Dad Awesome, the way of being Dad Awesome. To step into fully being Dad Awesome, we have to move from a solo approach of grow, I want to learn, I want to grow for myself, for my family. We have to step into thinking other dads. Let's recruit some other dads in. I just had a call today with my friend Alex, and he said he's actually just using text messaging. He's sending a text out to some other dads. He's sending them, hey, here's a 12-minute podcast, and just chime in with an answer to one of these DA+3 discussion questions. So I've got 10 examples, and he's like, hey, let's just at least get a text thread going back and forth to discuss how's the dad life going. And it's working. It's a 20-minute challenge. You just challenge some other dads. Hey, do you have 20 minutes this week? Listen to this 12-minute episode and then chime into this group text thread with one answer to one of these questions. That's how simple DA+3 can be. It doesn't have to be a campfire group. It can be just get the conversation going. It can start with a text. So thank you for listening today. Episode 342, Seth Dahl. This was 3 years ago. He joined us. It was his first time. He's been on 3 or 4 times, a guest in the podcast. This is the very first time, and here's how he kicked it off. Our first action step today is remembering that children are arrows. Here's what he had to say about that.
I just realized, the arrow is the long-range weapon of the spirit realm. We're familiar with the sword of the spirit, shield of faith, helmet of salvation, belt of truth, shoes of the readiness, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we think the only weapon we have is the sword. And God says, wait a second, you also have arrows, and they're your children. And if you learn how to work with your children in the kingdom, you can actually hit the enemy from a great distance like a sniper would. You can take him out before he ever even saw you. You don't have to wait for him to come close and pull out your sword and fight him in hand-to-hand combat. You don't have to wait till he kicks down your door. You can shoot him before he even sees you. And so, but that's the importance of learning to work with our children in the kingdom. And then you have the whole thing of like, hey, if we could have 10 arrows in the quiver, but if we don't learn how to get them out, it's the same as having no arrows. It's like, you might as well, if we don't learn to work with our children when it comes to the things of the kingdom, we actually limit our ability to fight, our ability to win, our ability to take dominion, our ability to extend the kingdom to the earth. Because we hide our children in the quiver. And it's like, dude, if we just protect our kids from the big bad world and we don't get them out and we don't let them loose, obviously carefully, obviously focused and aimed and wisely. But if we don't get them out, we're going to struggle, because arrows are not meant to sit in the quiver. Arrows are meant to fly and strike the enemy. And if we don't get our kids out and let them do that, we're actually preventing them from operating in the God-given identity that they've been called to. And we're just protecting instead of preparing and releasing and aiming. And it's like the whole world will be affected by what we do with our children. The battle will be decided by what we do with our children. I mean, come on. Why'd they kill all the boys when Moses was coming? Because Moses was coming. Why'd they kill all the boys when Jesus came? Because Jesus came. Why are they killing children like crazy now? Because kids are here that the world has never seen. And we've got to understand that. We've also got to understand as parents, we're the warriors. God calls us warriors, and he's stuck arrows in our quiver, and we've got to learn to get them out and release them. We've got to learn to work together with the church, with the schools, in our homes, because the Lord also showed me, I'm trying to go quickly, but he also showed me, like, look, it's I was walking in. Here's how it happened. I'm walking in a sporting goods store, and I walk down the archery aisle, and the Lord goes, and I'm looking at the arrows. I'm like, wow, I can buy a 3-pack of arrows for $50. I'll pick them off the shelf. I'll go to the register. They'll swipe them. I'll give my credit card. I'll walk out with these razor sharp, machine crafted, perfectly weighted, balanced arrows that will do everything. And the Lord goes, the church. He's like, basically something like, most parents um, treat church like a sporting goods. They think if they just swipe their tithes, pay their offerings, they'll come out with these children perfectly crafted, perfectly shaped, razor sharp, ready to fly straight, ready to hit the mark. And he goes, unfortunately, when I called children arrows, there were no sporting goods stores, and it was up to the archer to help choose the branch and shape the branch. And they have a part to play in crafting their arrows and learning their arrows. And yes, you got the church that may be the guy that puts on the arrowhead or sharpens it up,
Sure.
or whatever, or puts the fletching on the other end. It's like, hey, you need the church, the school. But if you don't have the archer, the parents actually heavily involved in shaping children, this isn't going to work, because there was no sporting goods store when God said, your children are like arrows. He's saying, you're a warrior. Craft your children, shape your children, work with the church, get the arrowhead, get the fletching, get the school involved. But the ultimate job is for the archer to know, the warrior to know their individual children, their individual arrows, and have a huge part in making them who they are.
The second action step today for DA+3 is misinterpretation of thoughts. It says in 1 Corinthians 2, verse 16, for who has known the mind of the Lord so as to instruct him? This idea that our thoughts, we can't just trust our thoughts at a first pass. Sometimes we'll actually say, oh, that wasn't God, that was me. That wasn't God, when actually God is giving you that thought. So sometimes we have to be introspective and prayerful around, where's this thought coming from? Sometimes that thought is a lie from the enemy. Sometimes that thought is just your own thought. And guys, I just want to encourage you, and I want to encourage myself to really think into and pray into, man, what is my thought life? Are my thoughts from heaven, or are my thoughts from, man, these are destructive thoughts from the accuser? Our thought life matters. We could have lots of conversations about how's the thought life going. We talk about, hey, how's fatherhood going? How's the dad life? Well, we really need to be thinking, hey, what's the thought life? Our thoughts really impact our dad life. So he had a lot of great things to say about that. The third action step is around avoiding false comforters. So Seth Dahl went into saying, man, TV or sweets or other external comforters, we have to be prayerful and really think with intention around, man, what am I seeking to for comfort when life is hard, when I have a hard day? Where am I going to for comfort? Is it a beverage? Is it a TV show? Is it a numbing? Is it too much exercise? What are we seeking for comfort in those moments of, man, my heart hurts, I'm sad right now? Where am I seeking comfort and finding relief and avoiding false comforters? God is the God of all comfort. He just encourages us, man, we need to actually teach our kids not to go to TV or to sweets or to that snack for comfort, but instead to go to the comforter. Powerful, powerful takeaway there. The fourth one is we need to ask God for help and teach our kids to ask God for help. So part of my job as dad is not putting myself in the God spot. If I put myself in the God spot where my kids come to me to be their savior, we're actually misguiding them. We want to train our kids to seek help and rescue from God. So how can we as dads guide our kids to ask God for help when we hit a barrier, an obstacle, a challenge, a moment of sadness? And then the fifth action step from this DA+3 episode is awareness of what makes me come alive. So I asked Seth the question, hey, what's brought more life into your family in this season? And he said what's actually brought his family more life is his self-awareness of what makes him come alive. Because if a dad steps after and presses into and orients themselves to, I'm going to come more alive. Figure it out. What makes you come more alive? What makes your heart come more alive? What brings more life into you? If we can figure that out, self-awareness, all the people around me are going to come more alive. We also can have wife awareness. What makes my wife come more alive? And how can I help her foster some of that? What is, he goes from self-awareness to wife awareness to kid awareness. What makes my kids become more alive, and pressing into helping foster that? So this idea of awareness of what makes us come alive, self-awareness, wife awareness, kid awareness. That was my fifth point, my fifth action step takeaway from this podcast back 3 years ago. So today, episode 342, guys, thank you for listening. But this whole idea of these group guides is let's activate brotherhood. The Dad Awesome way is the way in brotherhood. Let's get a group together. Let's get a group text going. Let's begin gathering other dads and saying, let's grow together. How's it going? Do you have a takeaway from this podcast? Do you have an answer to one of these 10 sample questions that are in the show notes? This is meant to be easy, not a lot of time, but it takes intention and it takes taking the initiative. So thank you for being that kind of dad. Thank you for being Dad Awesome. Have a great week, guys.